just think they can get away with anything.
Yes.
And they know they're not gonna get called out by like men that are not as like attractive as them. And then I would just look at my friend and be like, "You're telling me that I wasn't good enough for that girl?" And he'd be like, "Well, you know," but like, there might be some truth to that if we pull at that string a little bit. No, like, pretty women do think they can get away with a lot of shit.
When you were explaining it, I was like, hold on though, because I don't know, I don't do that, and my friends don't do this, but I've heard of like sometimes women like test to see how much
how much they can push,
how much they can push on like the first couple of not even that. I think it's more again to see like how the guy reacts, you know what I mean? Especially I feel like
and
sometimes
that goes to my point. Men are always on tests on the first 5 dates.
Here's the thing is that I don't disagree. I just think you're both on tests. That's the point of a date,
but it's weighted differently.
I get what you're saying, but that's y'all's fault. Like,
I'm not like saying it shouldn't be that way, but it's just the reality. Saying,
And whenever you were like explaining that situation, I was like, what if like they were doing it? Because I've heard of things like, and like common things, like things that like the female population has kind of agreed of like, hey, here's a tip, like do this on a first date to see like, I'm like, what if they were trying to just like test and see how you react? You know what I mean? Because because on
that's
one
totally
hand,
possible.
It's not necessarily that they might have been expecting you to like be completely submissive and be like, oh, I'm not gonna say anything.
But they could have been. But what kind of Jedi mind trick is that you wanted me to be like, hey, why did you do that to prove that like I'm assertive?
No,
not that.
Oh, okay. I misinterpreted what you were saying.
Yeah,
sorry.
No. In my head, I'm like, a lot of times like women will do that too to see like if a guy has like a temper, you know what I mean?
Oh, and like,
if I do something minor, again, because if you were to bring it up, if you were like to bring it up, like you can still bring it up and just be like, hey, quick question. Like we were just talking, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm curious, I don't like it. But it can be a normal conversation. They can bring it up in a healthy way. Right. Sometimes we're testing things to be like, hey, are you gonna blow a fucking fuse? Like, am I gonna feel unsafe?
But I'm gonna tell you right now though. I'm gonna tell you right now. If in that moment, not after the moment, if in that moment I found out you were testing me, I'd be turned off.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know what I mean? But like after the fact, if like months later you were like, yo, I actually did this because and like a lot of things have transpired by then, I'd be like, did I pass? Like my energy would completely be different. You know what I mean? Sure. If we get it, you know what I mean?
Why would it be a turn off in that moment? If she was like, I just wanted
if she said it, if for some reason, like if she already had the audacity to pick off my plate and then she was all like, and like afterwards she was like, I did that because I wanted to see if you got a temper, I'd be like, oh, I'm walking away.
I also don't know somebody that would purposely bring that up and like say that.
I know. I'm just saying.
I don't think they would necessarily say it like that.
If for some reason I figured it out, you know what I mean? Like if she got on the phone with her friend and she was by the bathroom, I walked by. I don't know, whatever. And it's in a weird situation.
Even if she was like, he did it really well. Like I just wanted to see if he would like.
I would still get turned off.
Wow.
Or if they came to you and they were like, yo, I want to be honest. Like I know I did this thing and maybe it was an annoying thing, but like
that might be a little different.
I just kind of wanted to see because like. You know, I've been around people that have been very like aggressive or something before. I wanted to see if
that might be a little different. The approach might. If she did
the delivery,
if she did that, I might be a little bit more.
I will say, I think it's almost annoying doing it in this like playful way of like, oh, I would just wanted to see how you would react if you would be aggressive because I don't think that's something that's playful or funny.
On one end, you're being cautious, and then you're letting me know that like you're kind of ashamed of it. But on the other end, you're being cautious, and you're like if you came up to me and you were like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, like, but you know, I just got to be honest with you. And so in my mind, when I register those words, I'm like, okay, she's telling me, and she might feel a little bit weird about it. Like that's not her normal state, and she needs to like, in a way justify that behavior because that's not how she registers herself, right? But on the other hand, it's more like I wanted to see if you would react that way, and it feels like manipulation. Yeah. So then I'd be like, I don't fuck with that. I'm gonna leave. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But that's just I don't think that those words would ever come out either way. Like if you were if somebody, the girl was testing me or anyone, like I don't think those words would ever really come out except for like the group message with all her friends. You know what I mean? Because that group thread is real, guys. Yeah. So.
Do you have any other like icks or turnoffs when you're dating?
When I'm dating?
Like particular about like dating?
Do you have icks? Do you know what an ick is? I do have icks and turnoffs when I'm dating, but I think that they're not like pet peeves like that. I think they're more like societal things. and like that might take a little bit more to unravel. But like they're more like.
Well, those are not icks.
Yeah, they're not.
Do you
like,
have icks, Brie?
but they do ick me though.
I feel like having icks as a woman is so fun. Have you seen those threads on like TikTok or like Twitter of women like saying their icks?
Ooh, but I know what you're like.
Were we talking about this recently? Because an ick is something very like unconsequential. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
We were talking about it at work the other day, and I was like, if he like bends down to like pick something up instead of just like kneeling down, like that's something stupid. You know what I mean?
Like bending at the waist, at the hips. If he's bending and snapping,
and it shouldn't be that big deal. But now you can't unsee it.
He like bends and he arches on the way up and everything.
No. I'm not talking about. No, I'm not like.
What if he has bad knees?
Explain it. Let me.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Like if they wear like an Apple Watch with like formal wear, it's like that's an ick.
Oh, I've done that sometimes.
Yeah, I bet you have. You monster.
I've done that sometimes. I used to have a friend that used to hate being stared at. And I think that goes to like your like weird like toxic masculinity, like weird or fragile masculinity more so than anything. I used to have a friend that used to hate it when strangers, especially men, not women obviously, but like when men used to like look at him for like a little bit longer than like a second. He would be like, "What are you looking at?" Like, I hate it when people look at me. I'm like, "Bro, like,
oh my God.
relax."
No, that happens.
What if they were looking past you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what if they or what if they just have bad eyesight and they don't like, you know what I mean?
Or what if they were looking at you because you're like, I really like that shirt. Is there a logo on there? Where's that shirt from?
You never know.
Here's the thing,
like, how does that man intimidate you? Like, what's going on? Why are you getting so like worked up over like somebody just like looking at you for longer than a second?
No, I get that because at this store specifically, like I've seen it happen so much. I mean, I guess maybe I'm just like hyper aware of it because I have so many human interactions that like the ones that stand out. But like there have been times where like if I'm just helping like a male like customer or whatever, and especially if they're like young sometimes, not like super young, but you know, like between like 20s, 30s and stuff that, they'll like they're making it a point to like make eye contact with me, where I'm like, what is this? What are you trying to accomplish here? It's not like eye contact because you and I are making eye contact right now, and I'm not. Right. It's nothing. It's
not like
staring
you look at
someone
people,
down. I like to look at people in the face.
You're talking about like a gaze versus like a look.
They're making like a point to just like their facial expressions. Like you can tell that they are trying,
and that bothers you,
to hold eye contact. And I'm like, what are you like, what is this?
Does that work the same if it's a girl too? Like if a girl does that to you?
No, because girls don't do that.
But what if she did?
I mean, I guess, yeah. Like,
do you think that
it would bother you?
Because then I would be like, what is this intense, like, what are you trying to accomplish?
For my friend, he's a guy, and it was only with guys. When girls did that to him, he was all like, "Oh, I'm cute." I'm like,
right.
I was gonna say, do you think that them trying to make this eye contact with you is them trying to flirt, like them trying to?
Yeah, you know? Sometimes but it feels almost like I don't know if power mood is the way. I know that what they're trying to do is flirt,
but they're just bad at it.
But you're just also doing it, and like I feel like what I interpret from that, like what you're trying to portray when you're holding eye contact is to be like, I am like a very confident person, like I feel very secure in this interaction.
Yeah.
But when you do it with like that intention and you're making it such a point, I'm like, you just think this interaction is gonna go so fucking well, and like that's not working with me, babe. Also,
guys in general out there, you get one chance to look at a girl for longer than 2 seconds if you don't know who she is. One chance. If you do it more than once, it's game over.
I will push back against that so hard.
You can't power move through that because like, to your point.
But here's the problem with that.
To your point. If I'm looking at you, for example, and I don't know you, and I'm trying to make eye contact. Like I get past the second, and we're making eye contact. I'm gonna smile. I might like wave or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have like very specific time frame, a very short time frame to make a gesture that would imply like I'm looking at you and I like the way you look without having to say words, right? If you look for too long without making a gesture or without any, like you're fucking up that move, bro. And then you do it again, you're fucking up that move even more. Because now you're the guy that keeps staring at her. Yeah. Not the guy that just that looked at her and smiled once. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say, you said that, and in my head I was like, I don't think if I clocked that you are like looking at me and like thinking of me as like, oh, she's beautiful or she's hot or whatever,
sure.
Turn off. If I clocked it, I'm like, ew, don't.
Interesting.
What are you doing?
I don't.
If you made a facial expression to let me know, I can't think of a facial expression that you can use to let me know that you think I'm hot. That wouldn't.
No, but
like,
me out. I mean, like, it doesn't have to be like from across the room. What if like you're at the fucking grocery store and like you're fucking looking for avocados or some shit, and like there's somebody's like on the other side and just looks at you like, oh hi, like. That's still a moment.
Yeah, there's,
you know what I mean?
I guess, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
But like you can see it, and like you might be able to see in his face that he's looking down, and he looks at you, and you guys catch each other's eyes, and it's like, oh, like,
I
hey.
think that's what
you know
I mean. Though.
Like,
it's like that feels like you naturally, when you see somebody attractive, you have a natural reaction
right,
to that.
Exactly.
When you said that in my head, like what I was hearing was like, you get a chance to like relay that message
right
with an expression that to me feels intentional. When it's intentional, I'm like,
interesting.
Really
interesting.
I find it so like cute if y'all catch each other's gaze and like
I'm not
like
necessarily saying that. Like,
now if somebody's over here and they're over here licking their lips, tongue hanging out of their mouth, biting their lip and shit, that's like, bro, you get the fuck out of here. That's gross.
I'm having a conversation with a guy and we're like looking at each other, we're making eye contact. I can tell when he is being like, oh, like she looks like really pretty right now, or like, wow, she's really hot, and like those thoughts are going through his head. Like I can see that without him making a facial expression.
Okay.
Without you see
maybe
what I'm
like
saying?
X the facial expression,
so
just like the look of like being the look of like understanding that like this guy likes how I look.
Yeah.
This person likes how I look. It doesn't necessarily have to be like
that doesn't require that doesn't require like
and I'm not necessarily saying
move on him.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily saying that like a guy has to be like looking, like figuring out like, you know, when am I gonna like being behind the fucking like register, being like, I gotta figure out when this girl's gonna look at me, like that. You're pushing it, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it could be like happenstance, or like it could be like accidental, like you lock eyes for just a tiny second and then it's a natural movement, like like a natural gesture. But it could also be like, I saw you when I walked in, I'm like, man, that girl's really pretty, and you just so happen to be my like checking me out at the store, and I'm like, I might be like just naturally like gushing or like blushing a little bit or something, and you might be able to tell, and I'll be like, well, it's nice to meet you.
That's what
like,
I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Like,
I thought you were saying like, whenever you were saying like, you get one chance to like make it like, to kind of like let her know.
Right.
Whenever you said that, I was like, well, if it's intentional, that's where it's a problem. Because all of those things, like all the things that you're describing are usually like a natural reaction.
Got it.
And like, we can tell, and that's really cute. It's really nice. I like it.
I've been in situations where like I've seen a person before for a while, weeks, months, or whatever, and then like we haven't really like acknowledged each other, and then all of a sudden like there is a gesture that comes across or whatever, and like as a guy or myself in my brain, I'm like, I gotta make sure that I don't like am not creepy, because I understand like over staring like to the point that I'm making, like you get one shot. If your girl knows you're constantly looking at her, that's it, bro. Like that's not you. It doesn't matter what word you say afterwards. You lost that bag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to that point, to the point about the pet peeves, my friend would register when women were looking at him as like, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But when men were looking at him for longer than a second, was like, yo, that's a problem. This guy wants to fight me. This guy has a problem with me. What's your problem?
That's kind of crazy.
You know what I mean? And I would always be like, bro, like, why are you so bothered by it?
I will say, in Chicago though, there's also just walking down the street, I feel like it's more common for people to just have that mentality, because y'all don't look at each other. Like if I'm walking down the street, like I don't acknowledge the person walking next to me if we walk past each other. We don't look at each other. If I look, especially at men, because if I acknowledge men's presence, it's like opening a door to allow them to fucking verbally harass me.
I was gonna say maybe it's like a cultural thing, because
maybe.
There's
down
like
here,
he was really
places
bothered by
like that.
it. Was like a legitimate pet peeve.
Down here in Texas,
I was gonna say like in New York, people talk about it all the time. They're like, don't like. There's certain places where it's like, hey, don't make